keeping families from having to go through that same pain of we love this dog, we want this dog here, but it clashes with our lifestyle. And something that I'm super passionate about is the training that Black people specifically look for it needs to fit their lifestyle. It needs to be something that they can actually put into practice. My name is Dorian. I'm a professional dog trainer. I've been training dogs professionally for 10 years now. I graduated dog training school back in 2015, and this video is about why I had to leave positive reinforcement and go to balance training techniques. So it's gonna be a little bit of a story time. So I blame my mom for literally everything. It all started with her. My mom loves dogs. My mom, my entire life, has never been without a dog. But just like a lot of people who don't grow up with expendable income, whenever it got to the point where the dog was costing more money than you had to spare, you ended up having to rehome them. And for us, it seemed like that was almost every single one of our dogs. From the time I was 5, which is when we got my first dog, to when I moved out at 16, we had gotten 1 or 2 different dogs almost every year. I had an outrageous amount of family dogs, and that's where my passion for dog training started to come into play. Like as a kid, I was introverted as hell, and the dogs were like my best friends. So it was crazy for me to like come home from school on these random days and my dog not be there. But my mom would always have these like super valid reasons. I didn't think so then, but as an adult, these super valid reasons for wanting to rehome the dog. They're tearing this up. They're preventing her from getting sleep so she can't go to work. There's stuff that everybody really experiences, but uh, as a kid, this wasn't a good enough reason for my dog to be gone. So I started trying to learn uh, how I could teach them enough so that they wouldn't get kicked out the house. And to be honest, I didn't get to that point until I actually went to professional dog training school when I was 19 or 20 years old. So, uh, like I said, I grew up watching Caesar Milan. And one of the things that I loved about watching that show, and Victoria Stilwell. Victoria Stilwell, her show was It's Me or the Dog. Those two shows together shaped how I thought dog training should be conducted. What I loved about those shows was that the dog training was not in like a clean environment. It was like everyday life. So you see these dogs like misbehaving, being aggressive, doing whatever they're doing, but you're seeing it in the house. And something that uh, I think is a really big factor in dog training is what's actually going on in the house. 9 times out of 10, the dog is just responding to their environment. So if you're training like in a different location, a lot of the times the training doesn't transfer back into the house. So I love that these shows showcase the different family personalities and dynamics, and the trainer would come in and I got to get the dog in check, but I also got to get y'all in check. So I was so inspired by that because I was so inspired by that I wanted to learn from Caesar Milan. I was very adamant, even at like 19 and 20, of wanting to learn how to train dogs from a person of color because our lifestyle is different. How we exist with our dogs in our houses and our day-to-day lives is very, very different. And uh, I wanted to learn techniques that I could bring back to my family and techniques that they saw themselves in that they would actually apply. So uh, uh, it didn't take long to realize I could not afford to just go to LA, and I had no idea how to even get in front of Caesar Milan. A more achievable goal ended up being getting a job at the PetSmart by my house. I got a job at FedEx, and I would do FedEx in the evenings. I work at PetSmart in the mornings and in the weekends. So, PetSmart does positive reinforcement. And what I loved about them is that, after they hired you, they would pay for you to go to dog training school, pay for you to get your certification, and then obviously pay you once you're training dogs. So that seemed like the right next step for me. They weren't able to send me to dog training school right away, so they stuck me in the grooming salon, which I wasn't excited about at the time, but I'm now extremely grateful for it because the skills that I learned during that time have helped me throughout my entire career. Um, But the reason I decided to leave positive reinforcement is because of one specific dog that I was training while working at PetSmart. Uh, we're gonna call him Duke for the story and to spare his family. But he was a German Shepherd puppy who he was a German Shepherd puppy that this black family had gotten to be a guard dog. They did what most people do. They looked up dog training. They brought him to PetSmart. I met them there.
Back from the yes. I thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes.
You didn't let your skin.
Yes. Now, once again, what was the question?
Why are we calling him Duke?
Uh, so we're gonna call this dog Duke just to protect his family. He was this beautiful German Shepherd puppy. His family got as a guard dog, and his family actually lived like 3 streets over from me. And they were very excited to have him. And they were a family who had German Shepherds before and prioritized getting professional training early on to make sure that the dog didn't end up being aggressive or being too much for them to handle. So they come to PetSmart to get all of the puppy things like everybody does, and I meet them in the store. So they start telling me their goals, and I asked if they would let me train Duke for them, and they said yeah, and we were all excited. So I started training Duke. He was 6 months at the time, and we completed the PetSmart training course very quickly. He's a very smart dog. He picked up the sit, the down, the stay, the paying attention. He graduated with flying colors. My motivation for wanting to train dogs in the first place was keeping dogs in the home, preventing them from getting euthanized, and doing whatever I could do to keep that dog alive. And in my mind, I had full success until we got to this dog. So we start training. He's doing good. They literally don't miss a lesson. They're doing everything that I tell them to do. But he's also getting rambunctious, like male working dogs, male dogs in general tend to get. He was starting to make the ladies in the house a little uncomfortable. The issue with Duke was that I was not aware at that time that there was a difference between basic obedience and behavior modification. I really didn't know anything about behavior modification. All I was taught at PetSmart was how to get their attention, how to use treats, how to keep the training fun. And I thought that was enough. But with this dog, it started to show me that a dog could sit, lay down, and stay and perform really well and still have red flag deal breaker behaviors like aggression or separation anxiety, or we'll get into that later. But these things started to pop up with Duke around 6 months. So me being the professional, I tried to train these behaviors away, really just by overly focusing on the sit down and stay. And what we learned early on is that this dog could sit down and stay and still bite someone. The person he ended up biting was my father.
Oh, what happened to you? Got bit in the ass today, son. I said, doggy, please don't bite me, dog. And I turned around to jump over the fence. The dog grabbed my ass.
Told you. I told you. I told you.
You ain't telling me shit.
I have no idea why the dog bit my dad to this day, but as you can imagine, my dad was not happy about it. I didn't know what to do, and it made the owners very, very nervous because, as I told them before, they had a 3-year-old in the house. So at this point, I'm feeling very anxious, very disappointed because they came to me as a professional and I'm supposed to know how to solve this. Long story short, this dog that was a graduate of our obedience class ended up being euthanized because he started to show aggression or reactivity towards the 3-year-old. They weren't willing to risk the baby possibly being injured, which is valid, and I think most logical people would have done the same thing. However, when I found out that he had been euthanized, that hit me really, really hard because my whole reason for wanting to train dogs was preventing that from happening. And this, in my opinion, was an easy case. So what I did after that, I went to my managers at PetSmart and really just trying to problem solve. So I asked, is there any way that we can offer training uh, uh, in the client's home so that maybe we can see what's going on and help them, establish their routine better? I was told no. Then I asked if after our clients have completed their obedience training, can we refer them to someone who specializes in these behaviors so that they can, continue to follow up? And I was told if they find out that I'm doing that, I will be fired. And that gave me that put me at a crossroads, because now I think I'm on the right path, but this is not the effect that I was trying to have. I didn't want to do the performative dog training. I wanted to do the dog training that was actually going to make a difference.
That's my pleasure.
So I've been hearing about this dog training school through some of my grooming clients that was about an hour away from me. My main focus at that time was learning techniques that I felt like would actually save the dog's lives, and techniques that I could use in the client's house. So I've been hearing about this school that was like an hour away from me, also in Cleveland, Ohio. And it was Black owned, which is something I loved about it. I applied to the school kind of on a whim, got invited out for an interview, went out for the interview, and I was in there for a 2-hour interview, man, and it changed everything for me. It just opened my eyes to how dogs could behave. So just to paint the picture for you, I go into the space, and it's 2 people in there, and there's dogs laid all around the room. If I got a video, I'll include. They're all quiet, they're calm, and it smells good. It's something that I didn't even know that I was sensitive to, was the atmosphere when I was in like a predominantly dog-friendly space. The smell of pee, the smell of poop, it being hairy, just it being unclean, and me not feeling comfortable in that space, but wanting to be there for the dogs. So for me to see all of these dogs laying down and there be order without these dogs being restrained, they're all just laying on dog beds, man. It just blew my mind. It put me in the mindset of listening to what this guy had to say and trying to see what I could absorb. So one of the things he does is he asked me to demonstrate the training that I knew with my dog, who was a boxer named Chase at the time. And he asked me to like walk him and have him sit and have him lay down. And I'm confident in my skills, so I get up all happy. I'm walking him. He's pulling me, which he always pulled, but in my mind that was great because it was a lot better than what I was used to. I had to ask him to sit like 4 or 5 times, and I'm snapping at him, I'm clapping at him, I'm doing all of this stuff that I had learned worked. And Chase couldn't give a good damn about what I was saying, but that was where my bar was set. So I eventually got him to side. He asked me to, ask him to stay. I was able to do that. I had him lay down. He didn't stay long, but he laid down. And so I thought it was a test, and then I passed. He then explained some dog psychology, and then he asked if he could handle Chase while I watched, which made me a little uncomfortable, but I didn't think he could do anything more with him than I had done, so I didn't have nothing to lose. So I give him Chase, and a little bit of backstory. Chase is a rescue, and he was a very, very, very hyper, very, very anxious boxer, and that's not something I ever thought would change. And I definitely didn't think it was anything I was playing a part in. So he takes Chase from me. He swaps out the leash and collar that I have, which is like a nylon leash and collar from PetSmart, for a training collar and a leather leash. And I didn't tell him this at the time, but I was very uncomfortable with the equipment. And not so much the leather leash, but very much the training collar. And at PetSmart, I was the guy that was like shaming people when they came in with a training collar or a prong collar or electronic collar on their dog, because I felt like anything that made them uncomfortable wasn't worth it, and the people were being mean. So I would harass the hell out of them people until they took it off.
Shame. Shame.
And once I convinced them to put on a harness or something, I'll be happy as hell as the dog is literally dragging them like back to their cars or whatever. But my goal was the dog's comfort, not the dog's learning, not the owner's comfort. That's just where my perspective was. So he puts the training collar on my boy, and he starts working with him. And he says, you know, one of the first things as a professional trainer, and he put like emphasis on professional. As a professional trainer, your dog shouldn't be pulling you. Like that doesn't look impressive.
Oh.
I was like, you know, if they got to try to stop him, like, show me something. So he gives this dog what my clients know as a right turn and pull. Okay. He gives this dog what my clients know as a right turn and pull, and his chases, his demeanor changed immediately. He went from like zoom, 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 zoom all over the place to like locked in on him, and not in a fearful way, but like he saw him, and I could see that in the moment. So at that point, my interest is piqued, and my reservations about the training collar are on hold. He continues to work Chase back and forth for like 3 minutes, and it felt like 20 minutes because the stuff that he was getting him to do in that time was stuff that I had been working on for months, bro. For months. Like, to say my jaw was on the floor is an understatement. And this man is dressed to the T. He's driving a Bentley. Like, it was a lot for me to process. But I could not get over how my dog was responding to this stranger that quickly, and also how my dog, who was super nosy, all of a sudden was perfectly comfortable ignoring all of these other dogs and people in the room. Like, I never seen anything like that. It seemed like magic. We then spent another hour talking about dog philosophy, dog psychology, human psychology. And at the end of that conversation, for the first time, I had an idea of what I did not know. But one of the things that really stood out to me was, if he could do this in 3 minutes with a dog, imagine what he could do with a dog in a week or in 2 weeks. And that gave me, I would say, the shot of hope that I needed, that, oh, this may be the place that I could learn how to actually save dogs, how to actually keep them in the house. Okay, so I got into this dog training school. I graduated from that dog training school. And in that school, I learned how to work with aggressive dogs, reactive dogs, the dogs that shelters typically wrote off or were on death row, pretty much. So, you know, they come from vets, they come from clients. So that's not the purpose of what we're talking about right now. One of the very rough cases that I got, I think this is within like my first 10 dogs, was a pit bull. I'm going to leave his name out of it. But he came to me, okay? But his owners brought him to me because he was showing aggression towards the kids in the home, and he had been aggressive with some of the kids on the street. And why training was even an option at that point, that was lost to me, because kind of where I came from, if your dog shows aggression to you in the house, you can't live here no more. So we'll come back to that. They bring this dog to me. He's very aggressive with me. He's aggressive with them. And it's very obvious that the entire family is afraid of this dog. But their priority is not his behavior. I believe they were court ordered to get him trained. But their priority, even as he's showing aggression to me in the session, is his safety. Which, don't get me wrong, his safety should be a priority. But his safety shouldn't be a priority over my safety. His safety shouldn't be a priority over the kids' safety or their own safety. So I was already trying to consolidate just what I was watching. I ended up training him, but something that I struggled with these clients particularly was they didn't really want to discipline this dog, but they were adamant on keeping him. And he upset the balance of everything. The neighbor kids were terrified. They were afraid to even bring him in the house, but under no circumstances would they consider rehoming this dog. And I just didn't understand that. So one of the things that I learned from that client was there are people out here who, even when they see obviously that their dog is making poor decisions and is in the wrong, they still can't bring themselves to discipline them. And those particular those specific types of dogs need that discipline. They need that structure for them to live a balanced life. And these clients pushed back very, very hard on that uh, until really they didn't have a choice but to conform. But I'm saying that to say uh, there are two different dog parents that I come into contact with, structure to push them along in the learning process. So my question to you is, what type of dog parent are you? Are you the type of dog parent that struggles emotionally with holding their dog accountable and executing consequences when they make a mistake? Or are you the type of dog parent that holds your dog accountable with no problem? Or are you the type that struggles in that area?